So this is a spicy meatball in action, running feckers over while setting feckers on fire, then chopping them up and stuffing them into a big chunky belly. So explain to me in 3 words why Grendel is the greatest Warframe, right? Okay, he's not. He ain't the best, we know that. In fact, he's probably one of the least used Warframes in the game. Still better than Hydride though, right? That guy sucks. So what ability do you give Grendel to make him a little bit more enjoyable for those of you who don't enjoy his playstyle? I've got 5, right? 5 new abilities on my Grendel on 5 different configurations. I went ahead and I put Warcry, Fireblast, Larva, Firewalker and Well of Life. All to try and make him a little bit more fun. I mean, that's kind of what the helmet system is supposed to be about, right? Maybe making us rework Warframes that need a bloody rework. So in the end, I replaced Larva for Elemental Ward with Chroma, and it can increase your health values if you have it as a heat-based Elemental Ward, or it will allow you to redirect or ricochet bullets back to enemies, or rockets back to enemies if you go as the Ice element from it, but it still didn't do it for me, Elemental Ward. It was a good option, but it wasn't very fun. Hell, I even went as far as going over to a very well-known Grendel Main and asking him for advice. No Sympathy on Twitch has multiple Grendel builds and is an absolute wealth of knowledge when it comes to how to play Grendel, big old roly boy. So I went ahead and asked him. Now Grendel is basically a tank, right, like Inros, with a pretty mediocre ability set. His 3 and 4 kind of suck, big meatballs. The buffs are what it's all about, with Grendel eating enemies to buff your armor to his Nourish Strike, Nourish Armor, Nourish Energy. Nourish Energy combined with Rage or Hunter Adrenaline means that when you take damage, your energy will climb very, very, very fast. So take damage, regen energy, all while eating enemies to buff your armor values. And while you're eating those enemies, your energy will be declining, but because you've got Hunter Adrenaline, it will kind of just level off. Now, adding Valkyr's Warcry was fun. Extra armor on an already chunky boy who can eat enemies to gain extra armor with a much faster attack speed thrown on top of that was genuinely fun. It got work done, but it didn't really add anything to his already tanky just mash buttons playstyle, so I tried Larva to see if I could group enemies up and eat them all in one go, for the giggles more than anything else, but Larva stops you from consuming all of the bodies, so you have to wait for them to fall out of Larva for its duration to end before you can eat them, which kind of goes against Grendel's kit, since duration is needed for all of those buffs, so it was pointless. Fireblast from Ember was good crowd control, and that 75% armor reduction allowed me to definitely cut through enemies a lot faster, so it is an option, a very good, solid option. But Well of Life from Trinity. Well of Life allows you to keep your dad bod alive so much easier, especially in the Steel Path. Leaves you free to keep eating enemies and taking a lot of damage while also keeping your energy topped off because of that Hunter Adrenaline. This meant that I could eat up on 15 to 20 enemies and be absolutely stacked on armor and not have to worry about much of an energy drain because you're constantly healing yourself up while taking damage with the Well of Life, while also stripping armor off those 15 to 20 enemies in your belly at a rate of 10% armor per second. So spit them out after that 10-second mark, refill your belly and go again. Now if your health did, I guess on any occasion, especially in the Steel Path, drop too low, you could just slap the Well of Life enemy or a woo-woo one of the bodies in your gut to heal back up. Remember, you're going to be a woo-wooing anyway to refresh your 3 buffs. So Well of Life, or I would imagine Garuda's Blood Altar, are solid options on a very tanky character like Grendel, just like you would on Inros as well. However, Firewalker from Nasia, the spicy meatball build, as Mimi or Meme as it sounds, this gives my Grendel a lot of crowd control while also giving armor reduction because enemies are on fire. This combined with the constant woo-woo refreshing of my buffs changed how I played my Grendel. It was more fun to just run all around the place, setting large areas on fire, watching enemies flailing around while steamrolling them as a big fiery meatball worked, right? It kind of worked, right? I will admit again, Grendel is very similar to Inros in that way. They both heavily rely on melee weapons or weapons in general to get the work done. Their abilities aren't exactly the best, but the Firewalker crowd control and the endless supply of energy regen and armor buffs, not to mention the melee damage buff from Nourish Strike, really works well. Now, See for yourself, how would you fix Grendel? What other abilities would you put on him? Maybe Banshee's Silence, maybe Rest and Rage, Blood Altar. There are a lot, and I mean a lot of choices right now of what abilities you could put on a Warframe like Grendel, but which ones would actually work? Well of Life, Firewalker definitely felt like the two best that I've tried out of this 6 that I have put on him so far. But again, let me know in the comment section below, and as always, thanks for watching.